On the morning of September 18, 2003, at precisely 8:17 a.m., a radio engineer named David Albanese submitted a formal request to the Federal Communications Commission. It was a standard form, a notification of cessation of broadcast for station KQZR 98.7 FM, located just outside of Redmond, Oregon. The reason given was technical insolvency. The request was approved within the week. The only problem is that KQZR never stopped broadcasting. It had never started. According to every public record, no such station was ever licensed to that location on that frequency. Yet, for the residents of the Cascade View retirement community, and for anyone who knew where to point their radio, KQZR had been broadcasting for nearly 2 decades, and its programming consisted of 24 hours a day, 7 days a week of absolute, unbroken silence. This is the story of the station that wasn't there, and the silence that spoke volumes. The story begins not with a bang, but with a hiss of static. In the fall of 2021, a university linguistics student named Anya Sharma was conducting field research for her thesis on regional accents in the Pacific Northwest. Her methodology was simple. She would drive through small towns, using a high-sensitivity radio receiver to capture and record local broadcasts, from news to music to community announcements. Near Redmond, while scanning the FM band, her digital recorder locked onto 98.7. The VU meters on her equipment dropped to 0. She assumed it was a dead frequency, a gap between stations, and moved on. But her software, set to record any sustained signal, continued logging the dead air. It was only later, while reviewing her data, that she noticed the anomaly. Every other empty frequency was a chaotic mess of background static, cosmic microwave background radiation, atmospheric noise, electronic interference. But the audio file for 98.7 was different. It was a perfect flat line of digital silence. It was too clean. Intrigued, Anya drove back the next day. Manually tuning her receiver, she found it again. 98.7 FM. The station identifier simply read KQZR. There was no music, no ads, no DJ, not even the faint crackle of an open carrier wave. Just nothing, a void in the airwaves. She noted the coordinates and, thinking it was a curious technical glitch, posted her findings on a niche forum for radio enthusiasts. The forum response was swift and skeptical. At first, the consensus was a silent carrier, a transmitter left on but not fed any audio, often used for testing or by stations that had gone off the air. But this theory quickly collapsed. Silent carriers have a distinct, measurable technical signature, a specific pilot tone, and a predictable noise floor. KQZR had none of this. As more hobbyists with more sophisticated equipment began to investigate, the mystery deepened. The signal was a pocket of absolute sonic nullity. Spectrum analyzers showed a complete absence of energy across the entire broadcast bandwidth. It wasn't just quiet. It was an active suppression of sound. One user, an electrical engineer, described it as acoustic event horizon. More disturbingly, those who listened for extended periods on high quality, closed-back headphones reported a paradoxical sensation. They didn't hear silence, but rather, they experienced the absence of hearing itself. It was described as a negative pressure on the eardrums, a feeling of being auditorily hollowed out. The signal was broadcasting a perfect technical zero, and this zero was having a measurable physiological effect. It wasn't a dead channel. It was a channel broadcasting death, the death of sound. Anya, now fully immersed in the investigation, decided to go to the source. Using radio direction finding techniques, she and 2 forum members triangulated the signal's origin. A small, unmarked concrete blockhouse on a wooded plot of land adjacent to the Cascade View retirement community. The building had no visible doors, no windows, and no power lines running to it. Satellite imagery showed it had been there since at least the early 1990s. It was at this point that the human element entered the story. Anya began interviewing residents of Cascade View. Initially, they were reticent. But one woman, a former librarian named Eleanor Reed, agreed to speak. She told Anya that the locals simply called 98.7 the quiet. She said it had been there for as long as anyone could remember. It wasn't something you listened to for entertainment. It was a utility. "You turn it on when the world gets too loud," she said. "When your thoughts are racing or the pain is bad, it settles you." She claimed several residents had small, simple radios permanently tuned to 98.7, using it as a form of acoustic therapy. The investigation had uncovered its first major clue. The silence wasn't an error. It had a purpose. Bolstered by this testimony, Anya filed a Freedom of Information Act request with the FCC for any and all data pertaining to KQZR, the frequency 98.7 FM in that specific grid, and the concrete structure. The response was a single page. It was David Albanese's 2003 request to shut down a station that officially never existed. Every other record, application, construction permit, original license was listed as non-existent or expunged. Her follow-up requests were met with bureaucratic silence. Simultaneously, the online investigation began to hit walls. The original forum thread, which had grown to hundreds of pages with technical analysis and first-hand accounts, was suddenly and permanently deleted. Not archived, not locked, wiped from the server. User accounts of key investigators were deactivated. A YouTube video featuring a 30-minute recording of the silence was removed for violating terms of service. When Anya tried to contact the other forum members, who had helped with the triangulation, she found their email addresses bouncing back and their social media profiles gone. It was a coordinated digital scorched earth campaign. Someone or something was systematically erasing KQZR from the world's memory. The silence was being protected. So what was KQZR? The theories are as disturbing as the signal itself. The first and most mundane is a corporate or military black project, a form of psychological conditioning, or a test of a non-lethal acoustic weapon designed to pacify a population. The retirement community, a closed and controlled environment, would be a perfect testing ground. The official denials and data purges are standard operational security. The second theory delves into the esoteric. Perhaps the signal is a byproduct. Some researchers on the fringes of physics speculate about reality bleeds or dimensional overlaps. Could KQZR be a localized point where our reality is interfacing with nothing? A vacuum of another dimension? A place where the concept of sound does not exist? The transmitter isn't broadcasting silence. It's a leak, and the concrete bunker isn't generating the signal, it's containing it. The final theory is the most profound. It suggests the signal is sentient, or at least has a programmed function that mimics intelligence. It observed the distress of the elderly residents, their insomnia, their anxiety, their chronic pain, and it adapted. It became a quiet cure. This theory posits that KQZR isn't a human creation at all. It's a form of non-human infrastructure, a piece of utility designed by an unknown entity to interact with human consciousness, and its operators are merely cleaning up the evidence of its accidental discovery. Anya Sharma dropped her thesis. She deleted her forum accounts and her research files. When contacted through an intermediary for this report, she provided only a single statement. Some questions are black holes. Asking them only pulls you in, and you cease to be heard. Eleanor Reed passed away last year. Her personal effects included a small transistor radio, its dial permanently fixed to 98.7 FM. The staff at Cascade View reported she died peacefully in her sleep. The concrete blockhouse still stands. The signal still broadcasts. You can still find it, if you know where to look. But the real mystery of KQZR is no longer its origin. The real mystery is its effect. It offers a profound peace, a total escape from the noise of existence. But at what cost? When you willingly listen to a void, what part of yourself do you leave behind in the quiet? Subscribe to Midnight Glitch. Some silences are not meant to be understood. The broadcast continues. It offers a cure for everything but curiosity. The question is, are you willing to take the silence and never ask why?